I see culture as a way of life. It's based on all of the things that we come into agreement with in our community, the foods we eat, the way we raise our children, the music we listen to, the arts that we gravitate towards, and other manifestations of human intellectual achievements that are regarded collectively within the community. A part of our culture even includes our spiritual and political beliefs as a whole. Then I think about propaganda, which is information, especially of a bias or misleading nature, used to promote particular cause or doctrines or points of views. And I think a lot of times our culture, we weave in a lot of propaganda and it taints our culture. I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. But of course, that's not a proper way to start a show. So I'm going to start over and I'll be right back. Well, hello, and welcome to In Your Ear Radio. I am your host, Latoya. It's always my pleasure to be present with you because your presence is my present. So thank you all who are joining us live on YouTube and Facebook today. I hope that you will join us in the chat because you know we're going to have a spicy conversation about many things. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring on my very special co-host, my day one, Miss Trish.
Hey, y'all.
And the crowd roars. They love you, Miss Trish. They love you.
Hey, y'all.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. It's Saturday. The sun is out. I woke up. It's a
Yeah,
good day.
it is nice, isn't it? It's supposed to be like in the 70s next week. Ain't that
That's
crazy?
crazy.
It
That's
is crazy.
crazy. I need the weather I need some cold. I need some snow. I need some ice.
No?
It's
You,
Christmas time.
you better go up to Mount Charleston.
I know. But I want to just sit at home in my bed with some hot chocolate, rub my feet together and just watch Christmas movies, but it's not working.
What's that thing about rubbing the feet together? That's a big people like to rub their feet together.
That's a real thing.
It is. See,
It
I
it
wonder.
it soothes the soul.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna start rubbing my feet a little bit more often then, because I think I do it subconsciously, but I don't just get in the bed and go, "Let me go rub my feet together."
Here's the thing you do, and a lot of people don't recognize it. And every time I say that, people are like, "Wait, what?" And
Yeah,
then they'll call me like a week later, and they're like, "Girl, why I be rubbing my feet together?"
just I do like to like rub. Like I do like to rub some part of my body to calm myself. I find myself doing that or humming. That's another thing I like to do. I just do that just to calm myself. Just to
Got
soothe my
you.
soul. So I guess I get it, but I'm gonna try that a little bit more because it gets a little chilly. I get it, but I bet you the people back east ain't praying for snow. Imagine you fork all that mess up off your driveway just to get to work.
Exactly.
That's too
Mhm.
much.
Too much.
Well, you're looking great there. How's it been? For those who may not know, this is our day one. Okay, this is my day one. She usually hangs out with us at nighttime when we do our after dark with the other co-host, GB, and our first caller. Yeah. But how you doing?
I'm good. I said, let me hop on because I got some stuff. I've been watching things and I got comments.
It's
And my
going.
husband, my husband told me make sure you put allegedly in front of everything you say. So
I agree with that. Good looking
everything I say is alleged.
allegedly. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah, it's even having this conversation. I know a lot of us are talking about the Diddy documentary, The Reckoning. Is it called? Sean Combs
Hmm.
Reckoning. Is that what you scratching and If you talk
To
about
talk
breaking,
about? Yes, yes.
a lot of people, it's trending, and the story really doesn't affect our lives, right, in real life, but
Mm,
reality is it sparks the conversation on other things that do affect our lives, a lot of people's lives. You know what I mean? And so that's what makes it so important to have the conversation. And I think it triggers a lot of people. So I think that's what's happening. Because we can easily say, "Oh, we always into entertainers, drama, and they business," but it ain't that for me. It's a little deeper than
right,
that. Yeah.
right, right.
But before we get into it, I definitely want to ask you, how did you do with the Cyber Monday, the we ain't buying it? Did you participate?
You know, I didn't I, I didn't do so well.
No.
No. But I didn't buy like Christmas gifts and stuff, right? But I had to get things.
Household things.
Yeah, I didn't do well. I'm sorry. I can't even like front like I was like this. I
Yeah.
didn't do well. I didn't contribute as well as I would have wanted to.
I know anybody I
What about
talk to.
you?
Yeah, well, I think I did pretty good.
Okay,
Again,
good.
I have a confession to make too. But for the most of the people that I talked to, they were looking at me sideways when I was like, "We ain't buying it." It was like, "Huh?" Yeah. But anyway, so what you doing tomorrow? It was really like,
Right.
it was just like, okay, yeah, whatever. But in my mind, as I was promoting on each show, not so much that it was a protest, because we know people are going to do what they're going to do. They've shown us who they are with 90 million people who set out from voting, the 70 million who voted for someone against their interest for most of them. We know what country we live in. You know what I'm saying? We know we ain't about that life per se, not the majority of us anyway. So I wasn't surprised, but I was just encouraging people to use it as an opportunity to build muscle memory. So basically,
Mhm.
you have to, if you're saying, I'm not going to buy at big box stores, or I'm not going to use my credit card, or, go to, go to small businesses instead, black owned businesses, local businesses, not shopping online with large businesses. You have to use muscle memory. So now you have to go do the research and say, who are these small businesses? What are these black owned businesses in my community? And so even going to lunch, I was in the office most of the week. And on the days I didn't bring my lunch, my pull up a Chipotle, And so I was like, I can't go there. That's not a small business. And so now I'm Googling. I know my little small business restaurants. You got Grits Cafe within the vicinity, a few, but it was like strategically, I had to think it wasn't as close as what I'm used to doing and what I habitually do. So that's what I was talking about when I was saying this is an opportunity for us to be prepared. You know what I'm saying? If we got to just pack up and go, we got to know which way to go, right? And so this is an opportunity for us to start, building that muscle memory. And so that's what I focus on more so. So I did pretty good strategically. I had to get gas. I mean, I don't know any black on gas stations. Um, but the last day, which was Cyber Monday, I was being slick because I'm a shoe fanatic. I don't do Christmas shopping and all of that, so that's not hard for me. It's like it's not hard for me not to watch football because I'm not into football. To take a knee, in other words. But that shoe came up and it kept coming up, and that shoe just kept coming up. It was calling me. I was like, huh? It said my first, my middle, and my last name, and I was like, I will be back Tuesday, okay? And so my smart butt, I said, you know what? 8 o'clock in Vegas, West Coast, is midnight, right? East Coast. So even though it's Monday technically here, yeah. So that was, I'm guilty. I'm guilty, and yeah, that was my little shortcoming. So yeah.
What, have the shoes come yet?
No, and that's the other thing. But the problem is, in my mind, I have to worry about getting the sale, right? They gonna play with the sale. I watch it all the time. The sale
Yes.
was the biggest deal. My issue was the size. So
Mm,
yeah, I would come back and they wouldn't have my shoe size. And that's happened before. I didn't
yeah.
need the shoe. I got several
I,
shoes.
I've seen the shoes. You didn't need them.
Yeah, I didn't. So yeah, that's how they get us though. That's how they get us. But I did discover some new businesses. And that's always good. So I've mentioned a lot of them on here. So leafytoiletpaper.com, y'all, if you're looking for some toilet paper. It might cost you a little bit more, but that's another black owned business. How about that? How about that?
There we go.
But yeah, everybody, the prices went up. Cyber Monday increased 7.1%, reaching 14.25 billion, according to data from the Adobe Analytics. Adobe found that online spending on Black Friday increased 9.1% over the year to 11.8 billion, outpacing Cyber Monday. And they're associating this with convenience, right? So a lot of people, they have this deal where they have what is it, short-term financing, where you buy now and pay later, so there's no
Yeah.
interest unless you don't meet that mark. So people just filling up, right? And so they count that as revenue. And then yeah, the prices are manipulated too. So I think the prices also, with the rate, with the amount that people are spending, I think we were still being overcharged. If you watched a lot of stuff online, people were lifting the tag up when they thought they were getting a $50 deal, and they lift the tag up, and the original price was $40. You getting half off $50, but when you lift up the tag, it was less before the sale. They just marked up the price, and so that they could make a sale and make you feel like you were getting a deal. Anyway, so that's crazy. Did you hear about these 911 calls? They're gonna start charging us for 911. Get up,
Girl, shut up. No.
911.
What is
No.
a joke? What? Wait, okay, do tell. Give me some
So
information because I have not heard that.
I saw something trending about it before, and I just went past it, but somebody sent it to me again, and they was talking about Nevada, because it's one that I saw was for another state. And so that made me look into it more. And I'm like, my first thought was they tired of people calling and hanging up, or basically just calling and not being an emergency. Because I remember back in
Mm,
the day, I ain't know no better, but I was in panic mode. I locked my keys in the car, and if my first instinct said call 911, and so
not
that's
not
what
the
I did.
locksmith.
And I got a record, and I'm waiting and waiting. The recording said, so somebody told me they would bring the fire department there. That's why I called 911 to help me get in my car. I didn't locksmith, duh. I didn't no. But yeah, so I got a recording. It said, please hold, and I got a recording. It said, this is not a life-threatening emergency. Please hang up. What? What? But yeah, so just so people know, there has been an increase. This was back in 2023. I didn't find anything recent, but this is what they do. I seen it in Arkansas back in what I think it was, even years before. But the current rate was 85 cents per line for each customer line. So your phone, right? For 911. So you're already getting a surcharge. If you have a cell phone or a landline, that's part of your bill. Now the name might have changed. I think they call it a E911 charge now, so maybe it'll be more identifiable. So when you see all them
Mhm.
charges and fees, some of those charges and fees already include a 911 fee. So you're not
Not to mention
charged.
our tax dollars that pay the police officer's bill or salary. I don't care if I do call you out here. Motherfucker, I already pay. And this is a prepaid motherfucking phone call. I'm sorry. Oh
Listen.
Lord. You done
Oh,
pissed me
and
off.
prepaid rates are even higher. So if you have a prepaid phone, the rates are even higher. But just so you guys know, it's not every time you dial 911. So if you're a habitual 911 dialer or a Karen, unfortunately, Karens, you're not going to be charged each time you call. It's just a surcharge you get on each monthly bill. So
Mm.
yeah, I think it's like $1 per line if it hasn't increased. And this goes through Congress. Congress has to pass a bill to increase this cost. Remember, this goes for whatever resources they have that they're have for 911. You ain't buying it. You buying it, but
No.
you playing with it.
But we already bought it.
Yeah.
My money already paid for it. So what are you talking about?
Yeah. And so they're saying, yeah, that's a fee. But again, if the EMT comes out, you might be charged for that. So that's a separate fee. But yeah,
I say
y'all being
we
charged.
I say maybe we can hire because we pay. We can hire somebody to do those calls and
Mhm.
like do you just like they did you. This is not a call. Like that's their job.
Yeah.
Your job is to field the calls. If it's an
Yeah.
emergency, get it through. If it's not, hang up on these people.
Yeah. Hang up like you got the hard phone like the old grandmamas used to do. You can hear them hanging up. Don't say bye now. All you hear is click, 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 click.
So maybe
Yeah.
hire some fielders, some call fielders.
It just goes to show we don't really look at the details. It's just like when you buy a plane ticket. It starts off $30 round trip, and then when all the fees come up, it's about 500,000. And And it's like charges and fees. What am I charging and fee? What are you charging and feeing me for?
Right.
So
Right.
we've been paying it, y'all. We've been paying it. So it's just a matter of them increasing it. And so you'll see your cell phone bill or your house phone bill go up maybe $1 or two. That's what it is. But here's the thing, you guys, use 911 for emergencies. Okay. Don't use it for
Right.
information. Don't use them. Remember 811? Do they still have them? You can call and get the
I think
time.
they still got eight. Oh, I think they do. I think they got 811. There's 311. There's 211. There's all kinds
811, we
of
used to
calls.
call back in the day when we needed to time. Now
I
we got
remember. No, it was 118.
118. Okay, that's look at my dyslexia kicking in. Go on, dyslexia. Dyslexia is a woman.
You could call, get the time, and I think it used to tell you the weather. It
Yeah,
is
it
110
would.
degrees outside.
118. That's what it was. 118. So I wonder. I should try it right now. Nah. But
I
anyways,
think it works.
yeah.
But I mean, that's to Nevada. So I don't know if we call on our cell
Yeah, I
phone
don't
if
know
it
if
would
it's
go through.
national. Huh?
But I think if you dial from a landline phone, if you happen to have one.
That would be interesting to know. I thought it was national, but I guess it can be, right?
Well, no, because the
Times are different in different zones,
times and then the temperature.
and the weather's different.
Yeah.
Man, I'm learning a lot already. That's why I be needing you to be co-hosted with me. I can think critically about some things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but don't be calling 911 for information or directory assistance, or if you just bored and want to talk to somebody. I imagine that's what these people are going through. These dispatchers. Have you ever talked to a dispatcher?
No. Well, I have done like a sit along, like a ride along, but it's a sit along. I
Yeah,
have done that because I was interested at a time to
yeah.
be in that job, you know, to fulfill that job role. But after sitting, I was like, no, I can't. I've been start crying and showing up at these people's houses. I
That
can't
part.
do it. I can't do it. Like, is she okay? Yeah, I'm too empathetic.
I know you would too. No, that's the truth. I couldn't do a job like that. I said, there's two jobs I know I couldn't do. I would be in the unemployment line if correction officer was the only job available because I'm too sensitive. I can't do it.
Right.
And I couldn't be a dispatcher. That's a stressful job. I don't understand how people get through it. I guess, vodka helps, but gee.
I'm sure. Yeah, you gotta be you. What?
Sounds like a GD on YouTube. He said, I used to watch the cable box time and call 118 at the same time to see. Look at him. Just
One of them lying.
blame me though. See who's lying to you. I wonder, was it ever wrong? Because how do you get it right on the dot? Even when you think about your cell phone, you know what I mean?
Right.
You get it right on the dot though. I don't know. It's weird. It's a conspiracy, I know. Yeah, but don't call them because you got a problem with your pet either. I guess they don't pull up for pets. You got to call the fire department or as a prank. People like to call them and
Oh, the
say,
damn veterinarian. What the fuck? What's wrong with your dog? What's wrong with the pet?
don't call them. Call the animal hospital. Okay, that's what you got to do. So, and if you call by mistake, don't hang up. Because they, tell them what happened so they know that it isn't an emergency because they're gonna pull up either way.
Yeah.
Unless back east, because there's a whole song about how 911 is a joke in your town. So yeah. I want to shout out World AIDS Day too, December 1st, 2025. I just want to bring that to people's attention because the rates in Nevada are increasing. And we here in Nevada,
really?
yes. Nevada, there were estimated 480 new HIV infections in 2022 with a total population of almost 27 million. The HIV, did I say 27 million? 2.7 million.
Okay.
HIV incidence rates in Nevada. So the rate per 100,000 people has increased 17.7 per 100,000 people. That's equivalent to the highest rates in the South, which has the highest HIV and AIDS rates, like Georgia, Louisiana, Florida, and DC. So we getting up there with them here in Nevada, y'all. Okay.
Well, have you ever thought about the motherfuckers moving here? Take y'all asses back. I'm sorry. That was insensitive, huh?
I mean, yeah, if you ain't gonna wrap it up, I'm just saying.com, you're gonna have reckless sex. You out there just banging in and everybody, and you don't want to use protection. I agree, Miss Trish. They can move back wherever they came from.
A lot of people move here and then they complain about coming here. Take your asses back where you came from. Quit fucking
Yeah.
complaining. We don't want to hear that shit. Sorry.
What are they complaining about though?
Oh, Las Vegas, ooh, it's shiesty and it's too many people. Stay off the strip. Stay off the, if you're gonna live here, stay off the strip.
Yeah.
Okay, come here with a gambling problem.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're never gonna have money. I mean, come on, it's stuff. It's just certain stuff you can't do if you live
Yeah.
here and you want to, you want to thrive. So
Yeah.
a
I
lot of
think
people
people gonna
complain
complain
about.
regardless, wherever they at.
They
Because I'm
complain about the
that's
driving.
oh yeah, I complain about that because of these people that come here they don't know
They're
how to
not
do.
from here. They
They don't
bring
know how
all
to
this
do the
bullshit from
freeway.
everywhere else. The Californians.
Y'all don't get in the fast lane and go the slowest. That is
Agree.
annoying.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
y'all's grandmother, please. Thanks.
So how old should grandmama be when you take her license?
When you start seeing shit on that car and you like, what happened right here? Take the keys. She done hit something and kept going.
When she pull up and it's a big old dent on the side of the car, and she like, oh, I don't know what happened.
I don't know that part. Take the keys.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, you guys. So there is a medication called PrEP, and that's for you that likes to just walk around without wrapping it up. That will help to make the infection undetectable, and you can't pass it on to other people if you're taking it regularly. So just keep that in mind because you can live with HIV. You can also prevent getting HIV, but you can also live with it. But passing it along, the crime rate. I mean, what it used to be like a felony, and in most states now it's no longer that. So it's still a life sentence, right? People are still dying, and that's the cold part. Over 32 million people have died worldwide from AIDS related illnesses, and approximately 1.2 million people in the US have HIV. That's about 13% of them don't even know. I wonder how that I always wonder about that. But they say that there's 1.2 million who have HIV, but then they also say there's about 13% of them that don't know. How do you know? Okay, now I'm thinking out loud now. So okay, so they probably get that data from people who report having it, and then they give them a list of all of their partners. So maybe their partners haven't got tested, and so that's how they know they don't know because it's not in a database anywhere. And that's probably why they don't get tested because who wants to be in a database? AIDS is very taboo. HIV is very taboo, even though you can't catch it unless you have an unprotected sex, gay unprotected sex, or blood transfusions. What else? Is that it?
And how you can get it. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And it's up for ethnicities, for the people of color, Black folks, African Americans. Men are still on the rise. They get it 4 times higher rates than women,
That
reportedly.
pisses me off. And look, I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's things that you could do and target a certain group of people too. I'm just saying. I don't know if that's what's happening,
We saw it on the continent of Africa, right?
but it's possible.
We saw Easy E.
Absolutely. So don't rule that out. I mean, yes, wrap it up, all the things, but
Yeah,
I don't trust these people either.
I agree. I agree. I just wanted to bring that to y'all attention. Yeah, but as far as watching anything, I haven't really. I've been trying to read. I got the book Spare the Kids, and I'm gonna get into that. I know I got not a whole lot of time with you. I want to tie this into the conversation that we're about to have now. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty, okay? But so I've been reading Spare the Kids by author Stacey Patton. I have a book from Book Club. I don't even know the name of it. I can't think of it right now. And then I watched this documentary. So other than that and The View, that's all I've been watching. What about you? Have you been watching other things?
Bel Air is currently on. That's the thing I'm
Really?
on now. Ooh, girl, yes, and it's
So
the
what
final
season are they
season.
on? I've never got
Season
past season 1.
4, and this is it.
That's awesome. Okay, let me go
This is
back.
the last. So Bel Air, I've been watching. I can watch Abbott Elementary on any given day and time.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love Abbott Elementary. And then you know what's over, and I'm so mad, but I can't wait till next season. Reasonable Doubt. Ooh, that's my show.
Yeah, I didn't
And
get
what
past
else?
the first episode
Oh,
of season 3, right?
yes.
So don't tell me about it, but it's just it was, I don't know, it just seemed a little, you know how Tyler Perry just really extreme. It seemed so extreme,
Uh-huh. I
and so
don't
I
know.
was
I
like,
liked it. It's
you like
extreme in a professional way.
a lot of sex, right?
A lot of, yeah, a lot of
And
sex.
Bel Air is back, season
Yes, it
4.
is back on. Yes. And
Yeah.
I believe probably you can probably watch all 8 episodes by now. I only watched 3, so I got 5 more to binge this weekend. But
Oh,
have you guys seen the All Her Fault on Peacock? Oh my God. It will take you through so many loops and hoops, and you're gonna be your finger pointing everybody. But watch
oh, I
All Her
love
Fault.
suspense. Okay,
It's a
all
good
her
one.
fault.
It's a good
Okay,
one. Yeah.
I'm with it. I'm with it. Okay, yeah,
But that's it.
that's it. Then this documentary came out. Now I was hearing rumors that it was just him, 50 Cent, 50 Cent Jackson was just antagonizing Diddy with it. Because remember, he had been talking about it
Mhm.
before he actually was indicted, and then during his whole, trial situation, he kind of, hinted to it, or at least the media was hinting to it. And so then eventually it was like a conspiracy. You notice in the movie, the documentary never came out. I forgot what they were saying, how they were tying that together.
Yeah.
Then boom, just like
And
that,
then they said, he said, hold my beer.
he said, "Hold my beer." He said, "Hold up, hold up." And yeah. So Sean comes a reckoning. The reckoning meaning settling accounts. Making a judgment. It's Judgment Day, basically. Did you get that takeaway from it? Is that what it was for you?
Let me okay. So for me, you know how we've been dealing with the death of, I say my cousin because I felt like he was my family, but we've been dealing with the death of Tupac for years, right?
Yeah,
I literally, like, I had to take leave work because the day he died, I was distraught. And so you know how all of this time, you have your gut is saying, this motherfucker has something to do with this. Like, I know he has something to do with this, but you can't really prove it.
instincts. Yeah,
Your instincts tell you what's going on. For me, this documentary put the missing puzzle pieces together for me. And I have no doubt that he has
yeah.
allegedly has something to
Allegedly.
do with the death of Tupac, with the death of Biggie, because he was an envious person, is an envious person. He don't want nobody. He It's not like I want to have what you have. No, I want to have. No, no, no. It's not. I want to have. I want to get what you have myself. It's no. I
Yeah,
want what you have. I want your woman. I want your stardom. He wants people's things, and he'll do anything to get it. It just put all the puzzle pieces together. And the fact that a lot of it was in his own voice, and in his own, he was actually saying and doing these things.
yeah,
Um, he really thought he was going to get off. He was
yeah.
using this footage thinking that, okay, when I get off, I'm going to do a big documentary on why it wasn't, you know, yeah. Wait, hold on. Somebody said Puff might be who. That part. That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, GB is saying he always blamed Bad Boy and Crooked. Who was that?
Pigs.
Pig. Wait, who?
That's a pig. That's a picture of a pig.
They saying Puff might be who we all thought Suge Knight was. That's
That
exactly what
part.
I was thinking. Because even when I watched a reality show with Michelle A, she even, because everybody painted Suge Knight as a villain, and I'm not, look, I ain't trying to discredit him if he wanted, his legacy. But she even said, because Michelle A dated Dr. Dre and Suge Knight, and she said Dr. Dre beat her way worse, treated her and beated her, you know,
Wow.
in comparison to what they thought Suge Knight had been doing. So I think he probably gets a bad rap too,
Hmm.
maybe. So I feel you on that. That was one of my thoughts when I was watching it. Like, yeah, we see who the real villain is, or one of the real villains. Yeah, he said that's why I don't put squares in my circle, right? And yeah, and he was, he came off as a square, right? Except if you think about his background, his parents, They was in the underworld. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They was in the underworld. I think that
And allegedly, his mom is not even his mom. That's his aunt. That
what?
allegedly, I read that somewhere. I have not gone down that rabbit hole, but allegedly,
Now that's
yeah,
interesting.
the rabbit hole goes deep,
Yeah.
which would explain a lot of the extra inappropriate to me touchings and stuff between them. That to me, that's
Now,
me.
where did you see all of this?
I go down rabbit holes all the time, all the time. Yeah, I'll have to. I don't know. That's a whole nother show. We'll do that one. On another show. We'll do rabbit holes, a rabbit hole show, conspiracy show. I'm all with it.
So just give me a second. I'm trying to turn this timer off and it won't allow me to. So it keeps taking away my thing. But yeah, I try to stay away from the rabbit holes.
I know.
And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot because even one of the things that really stood out to me was how what we learned even with the R. Kelly situation. I know you have your biases with R. Kelly, um, Trish.
Yes, I do. I do.
Uh, but how people just look the other way for the money and for the access. And even with one of the girls who they said, let me get her name, but they put a gun up to her. He put a gun up to her looking for Cassie because she was with Kid Cudi. And I was like, how come she didn't call the police? Then she was still trying to protect him and continue to protect him up until Cassie actually speaking out. And then you hear all of these people talking, even the person that was doing music for him and wasn't getting paid. I'm like, this is business. Where are the contracts at? Like there should have been a contract. Basically, if you're not paying me, I don't get my check in 2 weeks. Look, I'm quitting. But he just hung out and woke up sore and all that.
Here's the thing, there were contracts, are contracts. He didn't care. Even the person, let me
Yeah,
just tell you something. You got to pay the people that got the footage of your dumbass talking about what's going on days before you get arrested. He didn't pay them people. Guess who paid him? 50 Cent.
yeah,
And that's why he got a documentary, because he paid him. Puffy didn't want to pay them people. Puffy didn't honor contracts. They didn't mean anything to him.
yeah. He was definitely a bully. And so yeah, you're saying that might not be his mom. Man, this something I gotta go.
You circling back.
Listen, I've seen people with their biological mothers, and it's scary how some people are raised. People just don't understand how what goes on in different people's households. You just think a mother is one way, but people have different experiences with their parents, and most of us we would consider normal experiences. So I'm not really surprised at her behavior because I've seen women like her, and they,
Really?
yeah,
To their
worse,
son?
yeah,
That's
yes.
disgusting.
I mean, yeah, I've seen it. And it's unfortunate, but it's a reality. And I think it has a lot to do with the person that he became. But I also think it's in your soul too, to be who you are.
Mm,
So maybe that ignites whatever that is in him. Because they said he didn't drink, he wasn't a drinker or a smoker initially, or a drug user initially.
right.
And then once he had an injury, then he got hooked on the pills, and then he became what that we see him as today, as a monster.
Yeah.
And like you said, he wasn't paying people. So that documentary, a lot of the information they got, a lot of the edits were because he wasn't paying that person. And so that
Right.
allegedly the video got stolen. I mean, come on. But we know.
And I'm not even a 50 Cent fan. I'm not. I think he
Yeah.
is petty. I think that he is. I am not a 50 Cent fan, but let me tell you something. This documentary was masterfully done,
Yeah.
beautifully done, and it takes you all the way back. It ain't just about, oh, he did Cassie like this. No, it really builds up the character of this monster. Like
Yeah.
I really felt like I was watching a fucking horror film. And this monster, you know, yeah, it was awful as far as I was concerned. Awful.
What about the son, his oldest, Justin? Do you think he's anything like him?
Another rabbit hole. I don't think that's his son, but uh, another rabbit hole is his.
Allegedly, reportedly, what did you?
Allegedly, his father is one of them security guards. It looked just like.
I did hear
But
about that, but there was somebody mentioning that, yeah, there were blood tests done because, now we in child support court. So, of course, we need a DNA, right?
they said it was a blood test done, and he is his father.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it was insinuated by this one interview I was listening to, which was a guy who was saying how he was basically, because Misa now is like feeling attacked, and she says her son's being attacked. And so he was like, he didn't really come out and protect and say, no, that's not true, because he beefing. And he said all is fair in love and war, and that she was collateral damage. So basically he knew the truth, but he wasn't necessarily defending it, saying, yeah, that is his son. He was basically like, y'all let y'all figure it out.
Wow. Well,
So
his son is definitely his partner in crime.
yeah, it seems that way. There was even a thing. Remember when Justin had he got pulled over for DUI, and that's when Misa went on social media, was talking about bad boys and just going off. And it was rumored that Diddy was actually probably the driver, and his son.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow. So you let your son? That's crazy. That's crazy. And then he hit his mother.
yeah,
Hit her.
hit his mother.
You, it's some weird thing going on between them. I don't know what the.
GB says, and if you consider how the one man said Puff wanted him to change the contract after Big passed, maybe he didn't care if the other contracts went to court. Maybe he had changed everyone's papers. He did. Remember when all this started happening, he wanted to give people their masters, or maybe not even their masters, but their royalties or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just slick with it, right? Real slick with it. Yeah, I don't really care for 50 either. I never liked him. He's an antagonist. I call him a black Donald Trump. I feel like if he was president, he would be just like him, just a petty.
Agreed.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? Letting people in, locking people up, letting people out, locking people up. You know what I'm saying? It would be a lot of that off some petty stuff. Whether you deserve to be locked up or deserve to be free, it wouldn't be based on that. It would be based on how we have this president right now, right? Yeah, he said, I've always respected 50's business. This is GB. He said, business wise, but I never respected how he's always targeted black celebrities while he is always super silent regarding any other celebrities who are not black. I wonder, is anything going to come out about him?
Like what? I think he is an open book
You don't think
because
50
he doesn't care.
underage sex? You don't think 50 didn't hit?
No, I don't think so. I I don't think so. I think he likes grown women.
You think he
And
cleans?
he don't do them right, but I think like you know what I mean, like Vivica, prime example, Vivica 5.
And I was reading about this too. Shout out to Mara Mack, who's in the YouTube chat. He said he was chained. He was charged. He charged big for his funeral. Charged his estate. Now I was just reading something that conflicted that, but this goes along with also one thing that really was intriguing to me is how they use propaganda, how this whole propaganda mill is a real thing. His whole focus wasn't, I'm innocent, but we need to change the perception of what people think about me, because we got to get jurors and all of that. And so now when I'm looking and I see people at the courthouse, they're possibly paid, allegedly, reportedly paid to be there with their signs. Like, these aren't real super fans. These are people who were asked to be present and probably got $50 or whatever they got. You know what I'm saying? People that posted on social media with, good regards in regards to him, they were paid to do that or asked to do that, allegedly, reportedly. Like, it's just a whole manipulation in our culture when it comes to propaganda and how they use it to shape our perception, because perception is reality. And so even with this, I was, you think he spent all this money, spent a whole lot of money for a funeral, and rumor has it, allegedly, reportedly, he somehow used the estate to pay for it. And so this argument I was listening to, there was what was it on? Was it? Anyways, it was I want to say it was a shade room or whatnot, but the executor for the Biggie Smalls estate denied those claims. Who's to say he didn't get a phone call? And then he can't prove it because who knows how the paperwork went when you can't even see the paper trail, but his right hand man knew what the deal was. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. The one that was actually doing the numbers,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the budget. He know where that money went and where it came from, and how to make it maybe appear that it come from a certain area and it didn't. I believe everything in that documentary. I it put everything all in perspective for me. And his ass don't need to get out.
Well,
He needs to stay in there. Then people are scared of him of when he get out. And
and
and allegedly he sent 50 some flowers
I
the
was
other
just about
day.
to say that. Yeah. Yes.
Allegedly.
Reportedly, allegedly, yes. Ain't that crazy though? So he's
Mhm.
not really remorseful. It's just he just don't want people to know, what he do in the dark. What really
Right.
tripped me out is how he was in a hotel or whatever, and he still had baby oil with him, like bottles. It's like you just keep bottles, not one bottle, several bottles of baby oil with you wherever you go. That just really threw me off.
Because who gonna check him? He really felt like, and in that film, I want to say he said
That's
he felt
baby
like the
oil.
son of God. This motherfucker thought he was Jesus.
You know what really gets to me though, is when people, and I haven't seen a lot of this, I can admit, maybe it's just my algorithms, but when I hear particularly black men come out and say, oh, 50, for in this example, is trying to take a black man down. And my mind goes to, what about the black women? And it reminds me of the statement, the late great Malcolm X said, "As a black woman is the most disrespected woman in America." Like we just look over everything that allegedly, reportedly happened to these women and get mad because we are exposing what could have allegedly, reportedly been done by this black man. Like this one black man does not represent all black men in the United
Right.
States. He is one person who did some awful things. Just Dame Dash. He went on his little campaign taking a black man down. I'm just like, really? Now I think he might have some skeletons in his closet. That's how I look at it. People who get on the defense, even people who outright just talk about gay people, they might have some tendencies or something they trying to hide. Because why are you mad about him being exposed? What is he? How is this affecting your bowels? Like, how does this affect
Mhm.
your sleep pattern? Like, why do you even have to say anything about it? Why are you mad? You can be mad at 50 Cent, but why are you mad that they're exposing his behavior? Even Ja Rule, he sent a subliminal message. So we just, allegedly reported it was directed towards him, like them flowers, I guess. And he was basically saying, "You're a rat and you wear cheap suits. You always been a rat," and it's like, okay. Do you have anything
Really?
to say about these women? You black men, do you have any kind of sympathy, empathy? Y'all have daughters.
And that's when they gonna start. That's when they gonna understand.
I don't know.
Unfortunately, it is a
I
lot
mean,
of
if it happens to their daughter,
yes. Unfortunately, innocent little girls, young women, are gonna be affected because of the stupid shit that they daddies then did and said. Period.
what do you think Diddy's daughters? How do you think they feel? I mean, because it was also now they're kind of hinting to there was some abuse against their mom.
I don't know, and I don't. I'm conflicted because I know that uh uh what's the twin sister brother name? Well, they're all his brothers, but the one that he
Marlon, Keenan.
Quincy, the one
Oh,
Albie
oh,
Shores son.
why am I thinking of Marlon? I'm reading something right now. You're talking about Diddy's sons, Quincy. Yes.
Yeah, and originally when all this stuff kind of first happened, Kim passing the whole 9 yards, he kind of, because I follow him on Instagram, he kind of was against Diddy. He was like on his dad's side, his biological dad's.
Okay.
And then something happened. I don't know what happened. Probably some threats or blackmail, something like that. He is definitely on Diddy's side now. But I think he's just afraid. I think
And I
he's
think
afraid.
that's why his dad is, pressing the issue. Like it's deeper than what y'all think. Then now they're talking about all the deaths. You think about Heavy D, Craig Mack, what's his right hand man, Andre.
Andre and the almost death of him, of Albie Shore, and
Yeah.
quiet as it's kept. Thank God they didn't mention him in here. But Jamie Foxx used to videotape a lot of them Diddy parties. And look what happened to him. He almost, you know what I'm saying? So anybody who kind of knows the real stories either are dead or had a close encounter with death. And that's not coincidental.
I agree. Yeah, GB says, I do think a certain way when people jump out there defending him, in my opinion, he may have some type of white male situation against him, which makes him defend him, hoping he don't show what he knows. Yeah, that could be it.
Because
So,
everything's on video.
yeah,
Oh, is that his sister?
yeah.
I
Well, no,
knew they were
his cousin.
related, but I didn't know they were brother and
Stacey Dash
sister.
is his cousin. Yeah. So Jamar is saying he got a lot of nerve when it's. I mean, but this is the mindset of people that are probably voted for you know who. I'm just saying. I'm gonna say that allegedly, reportedly. You know, and yeah, shade. Yeah, I'm done for Saul. That's how I feel. Yep. You know, and he was so conniving. The one girl from the group he was with, I don't remember her name, but she needed $5,000, for
Yes.
a court, um, for a child custody case, and he told her no, but then turned around and asked her to be present to speak on his behalf.
The nerve.
So she
The
did, right?
nerve.
Because
She
she was on
did.
the documentary. She did.
No, she did give a statement saying that this is not her experience, you know. I'm sure along with this statement was eventually the $5,000 plus some threats and things like
Yeah,
that. I don't put nothing past this dude no more. Mm-mm. And the guy that produced the whole Love album, I feel so bad for him. This dude never
yeah,
got paid, and then got laid
yeah,
against his will, and that's not right.
yeah,
That's not right. That's wrong. And he up in there having a ball with the men in prison. I'm
yeah.
sorry, I
Woo!
had to
You
say
think
that.
so? He got a lot of protection.
He got a lot of baby oil with him. They done slipped the baby oil through, girl. Bye. They got all the stuff that he need in there.
They said he paid for Thanksgiving. So what does that mean? Did they cater? Did Marie Calendar come through, or did they just upgrade the prison food? What?
I don't know, but I know it all came with a side of baby oil, allegedly.
Being petty with 50 Cent because he responded to the flower saying, "What kind of gay shit is this? Did he send me flowers at a club? 11. LOL. Why all the flower? Why all the foreplay? Foreplay. Get busy. You know I'm stupid." He said, "A warning. I'm a 90s grimy ninja. You don't warn me." Okay. Yeah. So this is what's going on. This is but I want to get into, I want to segue this. Oh, and Marlon Wayans. Did you get his comment?
No, what did he
He said,
say?
Crown and Diddy might feel good now, but karma is lurking like a rerun of Power, kicking a man while he's down. Like,
Marlon, stop while
but do
you
y'all
ahead.
have anything to say about the women? No, no. I hope you're healing. Love and light. Something
Nothing.
like it's all about this black man who has been publicly now it's known that he's done some awful things. Awful things.
Maybe he went to, or maybe he allegedly went to some Diddy parties in the past.
And just considering how he did women, I just think about that overall, and it just made me go back to the thoughts. And again, I'm reading the book Spare the Kids, and I'm tying this in together because when they were talking about his mom allegedly, reportedly, according to Trish, it might not be, but his mom beating him and the guy on there, he said it wasn't like the whoopings he got at home. He said it was bad. It was bad, bad. And she's on record because I think you saw that in one of the edits where she said that he got beat. Did she say beat
Hmm.
literally? Like he gets beatings?
I don't know though. That might have been one of the moments I had to take a break to gag. That whole thing was just awful.
It was a lot. It really was a lot, and it was just triggering. But ironically, and I don't know, I guess it's just meant to be because now Stacey Patton, if you don't follow her on Facebook, she has a lot to say about this, but she's also tying it into um, um, your upbringing, being spanked, being
Mm.
whooped, and all of that. And she had something to say, and I'm going to read that her point of view. She said, I'm reading all of the comments on my page about the Diddy documentary, and a lot of folks keep saying things like he's just a monster, he had money and he had choices, his adult criminality outweighs his childhood trauma. Then she went on to say, none of that overrides what neuroscience tells us about early childhood trauma. It's clear to me from these comments that many people do not understand how trauma functions in the brain at all. Neuroscience doesn't say abuse excuses anything. It says early violence builds the brain before a person ever has adult options or develops empathy and moral cognition. Trauma doesn't disappear because somebody gets rich, powerful, or famous. You don't outgrow a nervous system by upgrading your bank account. Parents don't just raise children, they literally build and wire their children's brains. The way a child is touched, threatened, shouted at, ignored, or humiliated becomes a blueprint for how that child understands power, love, safety, and domination. A mother who whoops a boy like Diddy terrorizes him, belittles him, teaches him with fear, should not be shocked if that boy grows into a man who confuses love with control and intimacy with ownership. The brain learns what it lives. Violence is instructional. And I'm closing out. Calling someone just a monster is not analysis, it's an emotional exit ramp. It's easier to pretend some people are just born evil than to face the truth that damaged systems and broken people can manufacture damaged people. And free will does not cancel biology. Adulthood brings responsibility, not a whole neurological reset. Choices exist inside a brain that already has shape and wiring, finally. And stop accusing me of making excuses, this is her rebuttal, for Diddy's criminality. Understanding trauma is not absolution, it's a damn explanation. And if you refuse to understand how violence is built, you'll never understand how the hell to stop it.
I agree with her 100%. But what do you do with this monster that was created? So to say that he's a monster is not wrong.
Yeah.
He is a monster, but he was created that way. He wasn't born that way. Yeah, the trauma that he endured when he was young made him into this person that he is. But
Yeah.
what do you do with these monsters that are created? We don't pretend like they're not a monster. He's a fucking monster. But what do we do with the monster? Especially if the monster don't want to get no help. He don't want to get no help. He don't want to get no therapy. He don't want to get healed. He wants to continue to thrive with this power and money that he has and control. That's the person he is now. So we're just supposed to live with this monster and not say nothing? I don't understand. I mean, I get what she's saying. I do.
Yeah.
And I'm pissed that he even became that person because of the things that he endured. But he is that person now. So we got a problem. Houston, we got a problem.
So it sounds to me like she's saying that he needs help.
Yes. He don't want it.
And the first step to getting help is recognizing that you have a problem. And you're saying
Okay.
he doesn't want it.
I, he is in prison kicking it, buying everybody Thanksgiving food, waiting for his little 2 years to get out.
So you
And when he is plotting
want
and scheming up against the people that he saw in that documentary. He's
uh-huh.
plotting right now on how he gonna get them.
I think that's part of his punishment is to also have therapy. I think that's why I think he's in a lower um, whatever they call it, monitoring facility because he is
He
alleged.
done paid them people. He not getting no real therapy in there.
I think a lot of the ways in which some men treat women has a lot to do with their upbringing, how they were treated by women. I think that has a lot to do with it shapes and molds them and their perception and what they bring into adulthood in their relationship with women. I mean, that's an
Agreed.
extreme scenario, but it could be as simple as cheating. It could be as simple as lying. It could be as simple as manipulation, chauvinism. Just the way that you look and see a woman could be all built around the woman who raised you. And I think that's, those are the things that had my wheels turning watching the documentary, thinking about ways in which men in particular are affected to the degree that they bring that into other people's lives and cause them to be damaged. And it's just an ongoing cycle. Are you familiar with Dante Kyle, the Grits and Eggs podcast?
Absolutely. I love that podcast. He is going to change the minds
Yeah.
of the youth
Yeah.
right now in our Black community, and I'm so excited about it.
Where's he from anyway? He got that California vernacular, that West Coast vernacular, but he uses the N word a lot. But he
A
said
whole bunch.
he used it a lot, don't he?
Yeah. I don't know if he's from Atlanta or I want to say if it's not Atlanta, it's St. Louis or something like that. I don't know. It's somewhere like that. But
so I want to get this in because I know
yeah.
you can't stay long, but I want to get this in. I don't want to just leave this topic hanging.
Okay.
You just give me the signal, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But I want to play this clip. This is Dante Kyle from Grits and Eggs podcast, and he talks about getting slapped by his mama. Okay, just to give you a male perspective.
Okay.
What was going through his mind when he was being reprimanded by his mother.
I remember one day my dude slapped me. I was like, I'll never talk to this dude. Slapped me for no good reason.
Oh man,
I'm pretty sure it was for a reason. Black mama drama, you know what I'm saying? Well, there was a reason. I mean, it's only so many times the police can knock on your door looking for you before your mama just like, I'm fed up with this shit.
Yeah.
I'm fed up.
Yeah. She slapped you.
Selling drugs out my motherfucking house. I found a gun in this bitch.
Oh.
And these niggas knocking on the door talking about they's got 2 warrants for you.
Yeah. A slap was warranted.
A slap.
Yeah.
Snap back to reality. Oh, they go slap at me. That's what started playing when she snapped. Dun, 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 dun,
You had
dun, 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 dun.
one opportunity.
I started turning to a white man. I'm gonna kill my mom.
The Scottish came down.
Oh yeah, the Scottish crept up. A little family annihilation. No big deal.
The European side came out.
I started hearing the bagpipes. No, I'm saying though. So I remember it vividly because I had to come over there. She had called me while I was at my partner's house. She was like, "The police up here looking for you." I was like, "Do not let them in the house."
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "They got warrants for your arrest." But they ain't asked to come in the house. They just asked if you was here. They looked around, seen you weren't here. They dipped. I was like, they ain't searched the house and that. She was like, nah. I was like, I got something I got to come get. I was like, I'm going to be there at 1 a.m. Mm-hmm. I'm going to walk through the cut. Boom. She's like, all right, bet. I opened the door. She's like, you here to get your shit? I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was.
He putting his head down. Got music in.
I ain't gonna. Mondoose was almost the first victim of jiu-jitsu. That's when I went to go get my gun. Slapped the shit out of me.
You know the fuck what?
She slapped the shit out of me. I was sitting there looking stupid.
The Scots came out. The spirit of the Scots, baby.
I'm gonna stop playing.
Oh shit.
So he laughing at his pain, but that's a true story, right?
Right. Yeah.
Did that shape? I mean, to me, that's different from what Diddy's mom did, right?
Mm-hmm.
But does that shape the perception of what a woman is to you? If you get slapped and you can't do nothing about it, but just think about killing her, but you can't really do it because you love her.
You know, I think in his case, because he recently did a podcast with his grandmother, and he and his grandmother have a very close relationship.
Yeah.
I think he had other Black women in his life to offset, any negativity that he might have experienced. So it didn't necessarily create this idea of what a Black woman is, or how he treats them. So I think you have to have a balance. I think you have to, if there is the negativity, I think you also have to have the positivity to offset, you know?
I agree. And it's just one of the thoughts that triggered me just having this conversation, because I am going to try to include this conversation in each live I do on Saturdays, Spare the Kids a Book. I'm only on chapter 2, and chapter 2 is basically the title here is chapter 2 is a different title. It's not that one. The Family Conversation was chapter 1, but chapter 2 was a love whooping. And so I kind of thought about that smack was a love smack. Like he out
Got
here
you.
dirt and she's protecting him, but that smack was like, look, you need to stop playing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and just having that conversation, reading this book, because Stacey Patton is totally against touching a kid. She calls it hitting, beating, whatever you call it. She considers it unnecessary. You should not touch your child. And so my thing is, we all have our mixed reviews, full disclaimer, I'm not here to try to change anybody's mind. It just is about critical thoughts. I grew up, I was spanked as a child. I spanked my child when I reared him. So that's not what the conversation is about. It's just to have a critical thought conversation about what whooping is. Is it necessary? Have we always done it? Or is it just an American culture? Does it go back to, slavery? So yeah, so after slavery. And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation. And so I just want to thank you for putting your 2 cents in
Yes,
on,
yes, always.
on Diddy, because I know you had to get that off. And
I did. I just, that whole thing just opened my eyes. I felt like I was watching a horror movie, and I had to hurry up and watch it
yeah,
before it got taken down, because I hear that there's, alleged cease and desist, and
yeah,
they
yeah,
want Netflix to take it down. So I was like, let me watch all of
right,
this. So I'm
right.
up at midnight watching it. Girl,
thought
scared to go to sleep.
I thought the same thing. So your overall takeaway is what? He's just a monster, basically. You're not
He
going
is a monster that likes how he is. He doesn't want to change. And he thinks that he can buy off anything. Anything. He's like God. And I want to say I gotta rewatch it, but he likened himself to
yeah,
God
yeah,
in this documentary, in his own words. That's scary.
yeah, it is. So again, Miss Trish, thank you for chiming in and giving your 2 cents. Let me give you another applause for joining us. I always appreciate you.
Of course, of course. I look forward. I'll be at so at the next After Dark show.
Oh,
I'll probably be having beverages again. Yes, I'm drinking water today, but I
you gonna
might have beverages after dark on the next show.
go drinking your 2 step.
I gotta check in on First Caller to see if his break is over too.
Okay.
Because we were both taking a break.
Yeah, and then I'm a bad influence because I'm like, well, just drink on that night. That's it. No good, no good.
Yeah.
All right. So again, thank you. Yeah, until we
All right.
try to get that in this month, we'll try, right? Because it's a lot going on every
Oh
week.
yeah, before the end of the year, huh?
Yeah, we want to do or maybe we'll just
2025 wrap up.
We'll bring in the new year and do an After Dark. We'll do that.
Okay, cool. All right. Love you. Love y'all.
I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So before we wrap it up, y'all, we're going to do about 25 more minutes. I told you that I do want to continue to talk about this book, just to evoke critical thought about, sparing our kids. In the Bible it says you spare the rod, you I guess you ruin the child. So this book is called Spare the Kids. And, I'm new to this strategy that she has, which includes not hitting kids. And so, I'm trying to see what her perspective is, where she's coming from, and what other ways of discipline she thinks is effective outside of that. And so I'm just reading to learn as well. And I want to share my thoughts with you. And I encourage you guys to read. And I'm also encouraging anyone who wants to share their thoughts about spanking or the book, or just give their perspective overall of their upbringing, to join me on a live and let's talk about it, because I think it's important. So that's why I tied it into the documentary about Sean Combs' The Reckoning, particularly because it talked about how he treated women, and it dated back to a woman and how that woman treated him being raised. So I think that's important to take into consideration, not to absolve him or make excuses, but I just think it's important for us to consider all of those things that may affect us, because, whenever I have this conversation with anybody about whooping, spanking, and it's usually with Black people because that is, in my proximity as most of the people that I associate with, they are very defensive, defensive about how they raise their children. Like, yeah, some kids need to be spanked. I'm not arguing that. I'm just trying to get your understanding on why. And one of the things that comes up is with spanking a kid, if you're continuing to spank them for the same thing, is it really effective? And so this book is going to dig into that too. So again, I'm just on chapter 2, highlighting some of the things. And again, in chapter 2, it's just talking about a love whooping. So I want to kind of just speak on that. I just played the clip with Dante Kyle talking about his mom smacking him. I would consider that a love whooping. Stacey Patton goes into other ways in which we have considered a love whooping amongst our kids. And she brings us back to being enslaved, because she is at some point, and the next chapter is really going to be good because chapter 3 extending the master's lash. So now we're going to get into how this is an American culture. This is not something we brought from the continent of Africa or wherever else we came from. This is something that we brought from our culture here in the United States, because that's how we were treated. Those who were enslaved, we were beaten. And so the story goes on to say that, we whipped our kids in advance so that they wouldn't do anything to upset master, because it would be a lot worse out there. And it's the same culture that we have today, right? A lot of us discipline our kids because we're trying to keep them out of jails and prisons and being in worse situations than they are now. And so that's where I'm coming from today. That's my angle, talking about love whoopings. Some of the interesting things, shout out to TikTok. I love y'all because y'all are engaged, and shout out to Mr. Shabazz, who also is engaging, and others who do speak on Facebook about the subject matter. And his response to a clip that I played, just basically reading an excerpt from her book that basically said that we protect animals. There's laws against, it's unlawful to hit an animal, a dog or a cat. And it's it's unlawful to hit another adult, but it's not necessarily unlawful to hit a child. And why is that? Again, this is just critical thought and thinking. And maybe some people say, well, that's a good thing because you can't tell me how to raise my kid. And I agree. Like, I don't need nobody in my house. Some people do, though. If we look at the statistics, and I want to go over some of them before we get out of here. But where is the gray area? Where is whooping? Where do we cross the line? Is it a spank, a pat on the butt, a slap on the hand, hit with a belt, a switch, an extension cord? Where is the line when it comes to whooping, or should there be a line? And I ask you guys, honestly, where do you think the line should be when it comes to disciplining your child if you're going to hit them? And so that's what I'm getting into now. So Bilal, he said, Mr. Shabazz, he went on to say that, spanking, which is by definition is a slap on the butt, or basically back in the day, it was a punishment they did, a slap they did to a horse, like you hit a horse on the butt to get them to run off or whatever. Or, another term for, which is not specific to what we're talking about, but, they say something spanking brand new, so like fine or impressive. But spanking, he says, are sometimes necessary. He said whoopings, which again is a different term if you look it up, which means to beat or assault, defeat or dominate. So, when you say you whoop somebody's ass or, something like that, spanking and whooping are different. They're different definitions. They're not the same, technically. So whoopings, he says, spanking are sometimes necessary, and whoopings are cruel. What do you guys think about that? Do you think there's a difference, and should there be a difference, and should, one of them be omitted from disciplining our children? Also on TikTok, someone had a reply, and they said hitting and spanking are two different things, because again, in the clip that I posted, it was talking about hitting, like it's unlawful to hit an adult or a dog per se, but not your child. And he said, this person that posted on TikTok said hitting and spanking are two different things. Spanking is a form of discipline. So I looked up the definition of hitting, and it's pretty much hitting and spanking are the same thing. It's a slap. How you do it, how often you do it, how many times you do it, and which way you do it, where you do it might be different, but they're not necessarily different. So that was, the pushback, basically. Like, there is a difference, but the overall pushback she has is just the fact that we are physically disciplining our kids. There's even, having conversations with people that would say, we don't whoop our kids in front of company. What does that say if you're not, if you're reserving that for privacy? Does that mean that it's a shameful thing? You don't want to embarrass your kids, so they have the right to act up? Because if they are doing these things that they would do in the when there's not company around, but they're doing it in front of company because they know that they're not going to be reprimanded, then is spanking really working? Because I would think it would continue on outside of reserving spanking for a later time. But that's just another thought. And again, what is acceptable whooping? What is acceptable whooping? So I'm just reading from the book. What is this? I'm gonna go back to page 5 in the book because there was something insightful that I read there, and it said that talking about Tupac, because again, we talked about how basically most of us think whooping helped shape and mold us, keep us out of trouble, keep us out of prisons, keep us on the short and narrow, and not get into trouble. But again, as I mentioned last week, that there are more Black men in prison now than there were enslaved in the 1800s, 1860s, and prior. So is it really working? Is it really effective? Because maybe it's not the spanking issue. Maybe it's a systemic racism issue that is causing us to think that our children are bad or need to be reprimanded in such a way that they don't end up in these institutions. Because again, statistics show that they are still ending up in there, and even more so after slavery. And so this expert on chapter 1, she says, thanks in part to the late rap artist Tupac Shakur, the Black mother is the only woman in our community who can be a crackhead and a Black queen at the same time. We put mama on a pedestal and hesitate to call her out because she's holding up our families, often by herself. But that doesn't make it okay for her to beat the Black off of us. Because, we have those terms, right? I'll beat the Black off you. I'll slap you into next week and all of those things. So she kind of just goes into that and speaks on that as well. Also, I want to ask you guys, when you do spank your kids, are you sitting back? Are you thinking about it? How you want to address this whooping, in which way you want to spank them, or you just immediately, whatever they're doing, you reprimand them right away? And I know some people will say it depends. If it warrants, your kids touching a hot stove and they keep touching, maybe you pop them then, or maybe they've done something, they snuck out the house and they got in trouble at school, and it's going to be hours before you see them, so you had time to think and then have a conversation with them, and then they get a spanking. Like, in what way are you spanking the kids when you're mad? Listen, like I said, I've seen adult people who say you can tell they didn't get their ass beat when they were a kid. Like, I think some people probably could have done good with a whooping. I'm not being funny. That doesn't make me right, but I'm thinking that because of their mannerisms, when they think they can get in someone's face and talk reckless and just do things that people who have been disciplined, maybe physically, would not do because of fear of the repercussions and consequences. And I've seen that. So I've even said that myself. So like I said, I'm still conflicted, but I'm just picking apart this story. There was a story, again, talking about love whoopings. If you guys don't remember, Toya Graham, she was the mother of a young Baltimore boy who decided to join the protest after Freddie Gray was killed. And if you guys don't remember, this man was beaten bad to the point that his spine was fractured. So I think he was paralyzed, and they threw him in the back of a paddy wagon and gave him a rough ride. And to his demise, there was no one held accountable for his death. And there was a protest. And her son decided to join the protest. And she heard about it and went to find her son. And I get it. My heart would be racing to know that my son's out here in the middle of this protest. There was bottles and bricks being thrown at the cops. The cops was throwing bottles and bricks back. Like, it was a bad situation. And in her mind, I'm sure she just wanted to bring her son back to safety. That was the main thing. She was fearful of what her son was doing, whether she agreed with what had happened to Freddie Gray and what police brutality is doing to our community, because that could have been her son. But she went looking for him, did find him. And when she got him, she snatched him up, and all you saw was her popping him up in his head. What you doing? I hear pop, 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 pop. And she became the mother of the year, basically. She became the mother of the year all over major news stations, NBC. I mean, even Oprah applauded her for reprimanding her son publicly and checking him for being out there. Well, they called it a riot, but it was a protest. And they were protesting police brutality. And they were crying out for help because obviously they didn't feel like they had the support in my opinion, of the adults. So they went out and spoke out on behalf, because this could have been any one of them, and it is, hundreds and thousands of times over here in the United States. Our young men are losing their lives, and women, to police brutality. So again, she was applauded. Um, and people were saying how she was a good mother, and they went on a whole media thing where they were talking about it, and people supported her. And I could see, again, this was, I guess, a love whooping, right? You were letting your son know this is inappropriate. But did she need to hit him upside his head? Could she have just grabbed him and hugged him and kissed him and told him, I'm glad you're okay, son, you got to go, and had a conversation with him and talked to him and pulled up some history, maybe talked about the Black Panther movement with him and other people who have fought in revolutionary ways to change, societal ills of the world. I mean, did it necessarily mean that, she was doing what the cops would have wanted to do? Did that make it okay? Because she was doing what the cops would have done to him, and maybe not as bad. She wasn't as bad as what the cops would have done. But if that's what the police are doing to our boys out in the streets, why are we applauding them when mothers do it, or parents in general do that? And so, again, I'm gonna read another excerpt from the book. I'm in chapter 2, and she speaks to this, and she says, let's see, chapter 27. Forgive me for a minute because I got it on the wrong page. I mean, page 27. So she's, Stacey Patton, the author, is speaking to this incident, and she has her takeaways from this. And she says, since slavery, Black women have taken their racial duty to keep Black men alive very seriously. I can agree with that. She goes on to say, when the choice is survival versus revolt, we mostly choose whatever action will keep our children and husbands and brothers alive. She goes on to say that the widespread celebration, in fact, had little to do with what was good for Graham, which was her son, and the Black community as a whole. The reason she was being worshipped by the news media was not because of a genuine understanding of her fear and motivation for hitting her son, but because she symbolized the tradition of keeping Black male bodies in check. Never mind that her violence against her son only incite his anger and frustration because it prevented him from resisting the systems of oppression in his community. So in essence, she had taught him that he cannot resist, that he cannot fight back, that he cannot be what they would call a revolutionary. She has suppressed that energy and that will for him to fight against the system that was unlawfully taking their lives, these little Black lives. And she let the world see that she was not going to have a troubled Negro in her home, per se. And that's just me paraphrasing. So I just thought that was interesting. And then they did a follow-up 6 months after all of this, recognition she got. And come to find out, she's not in a better position. Her son is still trapped in the house because she fears to have him outdoors in Baltimore, even though the crime rate is going down. They were at that time, 6 months after all of this happened, they were in danger of losing their home. She was struggling to put food on the table for her kids. So what improvements is popping them upside the head for protesting against police brutality benefiting them? Just food for thought, you guys. Just food for thought. But this is a youth. In this respect, I saw a youth that was standing up for themselves. And another expert, she says, reading in the book, that before Freddie Gray's death between January and April of 2015, Baltimore had seen more than 100 shootings and 40 homicides, earning the city the nickname Bodymore, Murderland. While law enforcement, Black political figures, the media, and racist trolls online were busy portraying the young people who took to the street of Baltimore to fight for their rights as hoodlums, hooligans. She said, I cheered for them. They were doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing, embracing a long-standing American tradition of resistance, all in the name of democracy and freedom. They did what generations of young people from Soweto to Palestine have done to fight for their own lives when their country devalues and demonizes them, when no one else will stand in solidarity with them. The media complained that the vandalism, arson, and looting were just opportunistic violence, and those young people had no real political agenda. As if Black people living in poverty don't have the ability to be organized and intentional. Lawlessness and thugs threaten peace. That's what the pundits argue. Never mind that peace was defined by the killing of an unarmed Black youth, systemic harassment by the criminal injustice system, is what she calls it, mass poverty, unemployment, divestment in schools, poor housing, and inadequate health care. But I saw young people living out Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s words spoken 3 years after his famous "I Have a Dream" speech. The riot is the language of the unheard. The riot is the language of the unheard. So again, this mother, fearful of her son's life, went out and snatched him up. But in the manner in which she snatched him up went it went worldwide, right? She went viral because they saw not just a mother snatching up her son out of protection, but they also saw her hitting him upside the head, which was supposed to, I guess, be a stamp of reiterating that he could not be out there. And so people, what I'm hearing her say is celebrated the abuse that we welcome against our Black bodies, society welcomes against the Black bodies, versus the fact that he was protesting the violence that was happening. And I think that's important to highlight as well. So many highlights I want to add, bring to this. I had a clip I wanted to share, which I don't see in front of me right now, but there's a quote. There's a quote that says that if the children do not feel the love from the adults, if they don't feel that love from the adults, they will burn their community down to feel its warmth. Okay, so I'm paraphrasing, but it says if the children do not feel the love from its community, its elders, it will burn it down to feel its warmth. And I think that's something to really consider. And also Fannie Lou Hamer, who was one who advocated for us. If you don't know, go look her up. Fannie Lou Hamer was a great woman who advocated for our voting rights, particularly amongst other things. Had something to say about the youth back in the 60s. So this is a fight that we're still experiencing right now, where our youth are the ones, they say they will lead us. And she had something to say about the youth as well. And I'll get that. Just give me a moment here. Give me a moment so that you can hear what Miss Fannie Lou Hamer had to say about the youth.
The flag is drenched with our blood. Because you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black backs of Black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand that. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us. The flag is drenched with our blood.
They know what they've done to us. And these youngsters, they have that energy and that spirit. And again, just tying us back into whooping, being an American culture, that we did this during enslavement to protect our kids. It was what we learned that subdued us. It was what we learned that kept us from escaping and leaving the plantation, from being murdered and separated from our families. This is what we learned, that these whippings, they're effective. They're effective in these people getting us to do what they want us to do. And we pass that culture along to our children based on the propaganda that they give us, is that if we don't, then they'll end up in prisons. And again, I gave you the statistics that doesn't really line up. Technically, it doesn't line up, because there are more people in prison, Black men in particular, than there were enslaved. So how was that adding up? And that's just as important for us to think about. She goes on to say in chapter 2, speaking on a love whooping, she says, whooping our kids creates a false sense of protection that actually plays on white racist narratives that locate anti-Blackness at the feet of the Black children's bodies and behavior. In other words, we believe that stop and frisk, school suspensions and expulsions, mass incarceration, and death by police are rooted in the Black child's body that needs more whoopings. And I'm going to stop there because I want to say something. Statistically, our children are punished more in schools. Not that they are worse. They're not worse than other race or ethnicities, but they are punished more, okay, in schools, okay. Then I'm going to go on. What's so disturbing is that racism is left off the hook. So we don't consider that. So we're beating our kids because we're trying to keep them out of these systems, but they still end up in them anyway. And she says, a militarized police force is not the problem. Systemic racism from the war on drugs and racial profiling from hyper segregation to community diversement is not the issue. The message is simple, but extremely dangerous. More than rampant poverty, more than overzealous police, more than entrenched racism, the behavior of Black children becomes the true enemy of peace. So we put this all on our kids, but she explains that, yeah, it's something else. The distraction conversation turns the spotlight back on the Black youth and the shared belief across racial lines that the only way to keep Black children safe from racism and out of trouble is to hurt their bodies. So for those of us parents who say we spank our kids because we don't want them to have, we don't want them to experience worse out in society, they're going to treat them worse. Is it effective? Is that really working? That's a question to ask. You look at the research. In our culture, we talk about culture. They say this is a part of the Black culture. When 70 to 80% of people, that doesn't just include Black people, do hit their kids. So even though it is prominent in our culture, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're the only ones. So in a culture, this particular culture is not built on our ethnicity or race. It's built on an American culture of spanking and beating that comes from those who we call the forefathers. There was even, I was reading an excerpt in the book where she talks about how Barack Obama was at an NAACP meeting, conference, and he spoke to how, amongst other things, education and all the things that matter to us. He also spoke to how we need to go back to the days where if our kids were being disobedient, and the neighbor caught them, the neighbor could reprimand them, meaning spank them, or, they would report them to their parents. And when they got to their parents, they would get another spanking. But she also mentioned the fact that he was not raised by Black parents. So is this really part of our culture? Because his culture that he was raised by they were Asian. His mother dated or married an Asian man, had a child with an Asian man, and his mother was white. So again, an American culture, and he makes no mention of him being spanked as a child. Also, there's been written that Michelle Obama said she did try spanking her kids, but she stopped because she said it didn't work. She said it wasn't effective. And so she realized that it was only about her feelings when spanking her child. And so those are just things that I wanted to highlight in reference to that. So it's important that it's nothing wrong with unpacking and looking at other ways of seeing things. There's nothing wrong with it. And I'll close out with this, and I'm going to leave you with a little levity too. She also talked about her being in foster care, and it's important to notate that the majority of children who go into foster care are Black children, and the majority of the incidents for them being in foster care is because of abuse in the household that they were in. And it's just a prisoner pipeline system to where they go into the foster care system, and then they are set up, because in this foster care system, there are some good people out there that do right by our children, but a lot of them are being abused in these foster care systems, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And so with that type of behavior, with that type of upbringing, it sets them up for failure, and they end up going into the prison system and being what they would consider habitual criminals, or just habitual people who go into the prison system, I would say. And so she speaks to that as well, how all of this affects us, and it's just a cycle that never ends. But just looking at the research, closing out, does it work? Does it work? In the chapter 2, she says researchers have found no evidence that there are that they are more likely to misbehave than other groups of children. I'm talking about Black kids, even though they are suspended and expelled at higher rates. So we know this is a systemic racism issue when we're talking about, we're whooping our kids to keep them out of these systems because they're still ending up in these systems. She goes on to say they remain overrepresented in the nation's foster care system, which has become a feeder for the juvenile justice and adult prison systems. In some states, such as California and Illinois, up to 80% of the adult prisoners have had contact with the foster care system as a result of child abuse. And in Connecticut, 70% of juveniles in the confinement have histories with foster care. And I do want to remind you that she was also in foster care before she was adopted, or after, because I think she went into foster care during her adoption as well. More than 758,000 of our young entering foster care because of physical and other types of abuse and neglect, which is what I mentioned. 3,800 plus Black children died as a result of mistreatment, with 40% being victims of physical abuse. That's an average of about 380 fatalities per year of our Black babies that go into the foster care system due to abuse. It is true that children of other races also lose their lives as a result of abuse, but the rate of fatalities is consistently 3 times higher for Black. So are we more abusive to our children than other ethnicities, and why? I think that's a good question to ask. The embrace of whoopings isn't only about affirming our Blackness. And again, I'm closing with reading the book, chapter 2, Unspare the Kids, author Stacey Patton. She says, like celebrating Kwanzaa and knowing the words of the Black national anthem, the decision whether to physically discipline our children is seen as one of life or death. Embracing alternative parenting style is viewed as risky, one that might lead to unruly children who don't know how to act, or worse, invite the violence of American racism. Meanwhile, as increasing numbers of white folks continue to explore nonviolent methods of child rearing, Black folks have convinced ourselves that we must whoop our children because if we don't, then the police will beat them, lock them up, or kill them. Well, how is that parenting strategy working out for us? Not well, she goes on to say. Just look at the weekly murders of Black children across the country and the epidemic of locking up our adolescent kids. If whooping our children kept them from being killed by the police, then why are activists in the streets protesting police brutality? If whooping our children has been so successful at keeping Black people out of prisons, then why are we having a national conversation about mass incarceration? Just some food for thought, you guys. Just some food for thoughts. Something you can have conversations with at the kitchen table with your loved ones, okay? Something you can have a conversation you can have with your loved ones. All right, so yeah, I think I'll be here next week. But before I go, I did want to close out with a little levity, something to laugh about, something to tickle you. And before I do that, I just want to thank you all for listening. Thank you all that engaged me in the chat. I hope that those who listen later will also engage me in the chat. I really, 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 really appreciate it if you do and if you will. So thank you so much. And let me go ahead and give you applause. I appreciate you guys so much. So this is so funny to me. So I just want to share this with you guys as well. You just scrolling late at night and you just hear ignorant stuff. I think somebody sent this to me though, now that I think about it. And it's just being funny, talking about kids. And he was saying that children, well, actually he's talking about chickens by way of his kids. But he said chickens prove that God is real. And here's his rationale to why he says chickens prove that God is real.
Them chickens be proving that God is real. I be telling my kids, chickens be praising God like 24/7. Let me explain it to you. But God, but God, but God, but God, but God, but God, but God.
Okay. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, the rest of your week in good health, love, and respect. All right, y'all. I'm out.